have a caller here, Marianne. Let's bring on the caller.
Oh, wonderful.
Hello, caller, you're on the air. How are you?
Yes, I'm doing all right, I suppose, considering. I'd like to thank you for hosting this, and also, Mary, for your service and contribution to this issue.
Thank you.
I'd like to hit a few talking points, like what you said at the very beginning about these vaccinations and inoculations seem to open up a Pandora's box of, illnesses for all of us that have been affected by this. Myself, I'm a non-deployed guardsman, and I was actually in 1992, I went through basic training. I've received my medical records, and just like so many others of us, the front of the record is there, but the back is not. It claims that I had 7 inoculations or vaccinations, but I know my own personal self, I would testify that the back of my card was completely filled as well. And I have suffered the same history, illnesses, problems that anyone else in the Gulf War proper, 1990 and 1991. To me, this is not an illness or disease, but it is an injury. It should actually be classified as Gulf War era injury, because there's, myself personally, I had nervosa and all kinds of things happening at 24 years old to the point where I got out of the service over it. Personal problems is in my medical records at the time of, detachment. That later led to, at 27 years old, being diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder with no psychotic overtones. Currently now, I have been through every battery of everything you could possibly think of, spinal taps and blood tests, and I've had ulnar nerve transpositions for when my muscles started to atrophy at the first. So I had an unnecessary operation on my right arm, which, as my health degressed, turned into going to Albany Medical College here in New York State, where they took a biopsy of my left ankle, which confirmed that there are holes on the myelineal sheathing of my nervous system, which scar instead of healing properly, which then turns into muscle atrophy, which has happened in my hands, arms, down my legs. This has been confirmed with electro tests that it is completely in my whole nervous system. This has occurred. So now I do suffer from MS-like symptomologies and, of course, all the pains and aches that come with it. Now that last year I was directed by my neurologist and my own personal physician to go to Boston, Harvard laboratories there, which they determined, now this has been to rule out things like ALS, MS, CIDP, Lewis-Sumner syndrome, Marie-Charcot syndrome, and a host of everything else. And Harvard has even said that the DNA testing towards these things has proved negative, and that they don't wish to go any further into it. No doctors that I have can define or diagnose or give me a prognosis to what has happened to me, and I contend that this is all because of this, and that, again, this is no disease, no organic illness that can be identified straight up to Harvard Medical College existing in the world today. So I'm left with, I either have Joseph John Duchenne disease or what we all can, trace back to our military service.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So again, this is I am not saying that it wasn't depleted uranium in some cases, and camel dust. Everybody has their own experience and their own history of what they've been through. But again, my case only demonstrates and shows in what I believe that this is all everyone could be traceable back to these inoculations and vaccines, especially given my control within this. I believe that is the major overarching factor to this whole quote unquote syndrome, that we who have been in the military have such such commonalities in our illnesses, which are not genetically traceable to our families in many, many cases, including, especially in my own. There's no any of this in my family. That's why I've been through all these batteries of tests, years and years. I have not felt well in a decade, And like you said, ma'am, your bones hurt. When after I'd been diagnosed with bipolar, 2 or 3 years after that, I told my mother, I don't feel well. I am sick in a way that isn't cough, sick. My bones ache is exactly what I told her, that my bones felt raw before all these major physical illnesses came upon me over the last 6 years. My health is completely tanked and deteriorated. The only thing I can say is I'm glad I drove on to see this day where I can understand what happened to me, why, what happened. At 27 years old, I finally had a breakdown and was diagnosed with mental illnesses, which have now been ruled out by history, by the fact that I've refused in many, many cases and times to take these psychotropic pills, knowing in my mind, heart, and soul that wasn't what was wrong with me. Now, here I am at 43 years old. Excuse me. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. They want to label everyone as bipolar.
But this PTSD is a hoax. It's bullshit, And now pardon the French, but now these guys are coming out with a new vaccination that's supposed to assuage PTSD so that when the troops come home, it'll wear off after a year. They'll be numbed to the violence of war, and what are they going to do? Come home and rob banks and go crazy? It's a mess. It's a damn mess. And people that are affected by this or have been investigating this or trying to study what happened to me and why is this going on, that's why I called tonight, because I will stand up. I will go on wherever this leads me in my life to see that this doesn't happen to another 18-year-old kid joining the military tomorrow.
Well, thank you so much for calling in.
I'm so glad you called in.
Yeah, I'm glad you called in too, and you're more than welcome to join us every month here on this show, and you're more than welcome to bring your friends with you. It happens every last Tuesday of every month, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank you for calling in, and thank you for telling us your story.
Yeah, and I would absolutely like to talk to you off the air. If you could send me a request on Facebook, I would love to be friends with you because it's great to get the non-deployed sick veteran perspective. And I know two of my best friends are also non-deployed and very ill, and I would love to talk with you and possibly, tell your story in my book, from the non-deployed viewpoint.
Miss Parker, that's exactly correct. I believe that this, this started out as being understood as Gulf War illness, but I believe that this whole scope should be expanded because it's certainly, by evidence, this goes on beyond 1990 and 1991. Like I said, I was August 1992, inoculated in South Carolina, Fort Jackson. And then my life history is hand in hand, step by step, exactly the same things that, Persian Gulf combat veterans report. I've lived this very same experience. I've ruled out presumptively everything, like I've said, under the sun. No one on this planet can tell me what happened to me or give me a diagnosis or a prognosis, and doctors just walk away. They're left dumbfounded. And I'll leave you with this. The last time I saw my personal physician, she had tears in her eyes. Because
I want to thank you for calling in. I'm sorry I have to cut you short because we are ending the show here in about a minute.
Yes,
so
sir.
I just wanted to let you know. Thank you so much.
Yeah, can you call back in?
This is why I took the opportunity to step in, because this is a very, very broad spectrum we need to address, and I'll do what I can as an individual.
I'm glad you called
Mary,
in. God bless you.
I'll contact you through the Gulf War Illness site that I already belong to on Facebook. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
God bless and good night.
Thank you.
Okay, good night.
All right. Well,
wow, that was incredible, Joey.
Well, yeah, that was really incredible.